Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Densberger?
Here.
Jeffers?
Here.
Call?
Here.
Mayor Mingus?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please stand for the invocation and may stand for the pledge.
Shall I pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for our day here in our city and watching over us. Even when we aren't even aware of you, you're watching over us and protecting us. And our hearts are heavy this week. Another sad news as far as the church shooting in Texas, and just hard not to think about those folks there in Sutherland Springs, Texas. And we extend to them our prayers and our to uphold them. Thankful that it was not as bad as it could have been, although it's just so awful and terrible. But we are thankful that it could have been worse, that it was not. We pray as we deliberate the business tonight. We look forward to this fall season, as we look forward to the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah. The holidays as a whole bring us generally times of hope, and I know it can bring sadness to many because of loss of loved ones and so forth. But I pray we would do our best tonight. Guide us in the days ahead. Thank you for those who serve our city, our workers, police, fire, staff, public works, everyone that together we work together as a community and a city that this makes the best life possible for us here. Thank you now as we pray. In your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 17, 2017 be approved as printed.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger, discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Under communications, we do have a proclamation. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous peoples, and whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as a part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976 and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now therefore, I, David W. Mingus, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim November as National American Indian Heritage Month and urge all citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Very good. And we have a local American Indian church in town, so I imagine that we'll be having some festivities that we might partake in. Other communications, Madam Clerk?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience want to speak to the council on an agenda item, please come forward. Saying no one come forward, consent agenda. Commissioner Denberg, I turn over to you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 and 2 as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call, discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
In which case, Mr. Mayor, I move you that items numbered 1 and 2 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted. The item numbered 2, having been read once by its title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call. Discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Commissioner Densberger.
Okay. My first item, Your Honor, is ordinance 4359. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4359 here to attach an ordinance providing for annexation of the Hibbard property to the city of East Peoria, Illinois, part of PIN 020230300004, be accepted on its first reading, is read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ty, care to elaborate?
This is pretty straightforward. There's some property that's come available south of the city here, right off of Rio Drive. And so this is just a portion of that property. The balance of it, we've had some development interest in looking at it, but tonight, this is just a little over 2 acres. They want to annex into the city and attach to their existing property.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And, Your Honor, it looks like Morgan has me reading one at length, so
Here you go.
here we go. Resolution number 1718-069. Whereas a vacancy exists on the East Peoria Planning Commission, and whereas the Honorable Mayor David W. Mingus has recommended the appointment of Michael A. Bruner to fill the vacancy on the East Peoria Planning Commission, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that the appointment by Mayor David W. Mingus of Michael A. Bruner to the East Peoria Planning Commission to fill the vacancy for a term ending April 30, 2018, be approved, and that this resolution, number 1718-069, be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker. Got it. Good job.
I'll go ahead and read it. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1718-069 be adopted as presented. Thank you, Commissioner Decker. I know members of the Planning Commission are excited about this appointment. Ty?
This will put us at full strength, and Michael's actually here tonight in the audience. He is a planner at the Regional Planning Commission, so he has the credentials, the background. You know, we don't typically look for folks that are planners by trade, but it's exciting when we have one that's he's relatively new to the community, but also has that background, so he should be a nice fit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Might just comment, appreciate you serving. The other thing is that we went through, or you guys went through a process of interviews, and you came up on top, so.
It's good to have interest in the position, so we had a couple of interviews, and certainly Michael was a very strong candidate.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1718-072 here to attached, a resolution approving renewal of property, casualty, and liability insurance coverage and workers' compensation insurance coverage with Illinois County's Risk Management Trust be approved, and that this resolution number 1718-072 be accepted on its first reading, is read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is a annual requirement. Mr. Eder, comment?
Yeah, the good news here is it's
25 grand less than what we were last year, but I want to thank the staff for working with me to go through, in particular, all the vehicles and the heavy equipment that was on our policy and cleaning that up. There was a significant number of old vehicles that we'd sold in previous years that were still listed on our vehicle list, so we've removed them from that, and I want to thank staff for doing that, working on all the properties, looking to make sure we've got all those, but that is a much larger list, and what was it, 2 years ago, we had an outside evaluation of all our city properties, so we know we've got a pretty comprehensive list there, and we don't sell or buy as much property on an annual basis versus vehicles and equipment that we buy, so very confident that that list is pretty accurate.
Other discussion?
And Denise Jacobus of Cooling Company is with us this evening. They've been a great partner on this. This particular year is proving to be a tough one for workers' comp. In the aggregate, I think we've made excellent progress over the last 3 or 4 years in worker safety and progress on lowering the claims. So thank you for that work, Jim.
Thanks, Denise. Commissioner
I just wanted to commend Jeff and the staff for the reductions. I know a lot of effort went behind this and had a look at a lot of information. I also want to commend Denise. She does a great job proactively working with the city to ensure that we get the best bang for our buck and keep costs down. So
In fact, I believe there's a safety
appreciate it.
meeting Thursday.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that Resolution Number 1718-070, hereto attached, a resolution authorizing the outfitting of 2 2016 Ford F-250 pickup trucks with plow equipment and a dump bed, and authorizing the trade of old plow equipment from Koenig Body and Equipment, Inc., at a net total cost of $23,562, be hereby approved, and that this resolution, number 1718-070, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe this equipment is for you, Mr. McCarty?
Yeah, basically, we kind of planned this when we got the trucks last fiscal year, and then we were going to outfit them this fiscal year on a different budget. Just replacing some equipment from 2008 that maintenance problems and everything else, it was time for an upgrade, so we had kind of planned for this.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And, Your Honor, my final item. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4361, hereto attached, an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 3 of the East Peoria City Code to change the number of Class B and D liquor licenses authorized to be issued within the corporate limits of the city, be read at length by the clerk, and that said ordinance number 4361 be accepted on its first reading and be hereby adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner. Morgan?
Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, Title 3, Chapter 3, Section 1.10 of the City Code of the City of East Peoria is hereby amended as follows. Additions are indicated by underline, deletions by strikeout. 3-3-1.10 licenses, limitation upon number issued, so that the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the city shall be protected, and minors shall be prevented from the purchase of alcoholic liquors, and temperance in the consumption of alcoholic liquors shall be fostered and promoted. B, no additional Class B licenses shall be issued under the provisions of this chapter unless the number of such licenses in force at the time shall be less than 25. D, no additional Class D licenses shall be issued under the provisions of this chapter unless the number of such licenses in force at the time shall be less than 26. Provided, however, that upon the surrender and cancellation of an existing license, the local liquor control commission may reissue such license to a person who has purchased the business or premises of the prior licensee. Provided further that in the event of annexation of any territory to the city in which territory there is located any business or property for which a valid county retail liquor license has been issued and enforced at the date of such annexation, the local liquor control commission is empowered to authorize the issuance of a new license strictly under the provisions of this code to the person named in the county retail liquor license issued for such business or property, notwithstanding the foregoing limitations upon the number of licenses to be issued. Section 2, this ordinance is hereby ordered to be published in pamphlet form by the city clerk, and said clerk is ordered to keep at least 3 copies hereof available for public inspection in the future and in accordance with the Illinois Municipal Code. Section 3, this ordinance is in addition to all other ordinances on the subject and shall be construed therewith, except as to that part in direct conflict with any other ordinance, and in the event of such conflict, the provisions hereof shall govern. Section 4, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and 10-day period of publication in the manner provided by law.
Thank you, Morgan. I'm sure this has to do with our Liquor Commission meeting that took place before this one, so for the VFW, I assume?
No, this is actually, Qdoba is no longer going to sell alcohol, and then the previous Huck station that closed, and we had increased
Okay.
for Casey's, but forgot to decrease.
Okay.
So it just substitutes those.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Denver. Commissioner Decker.
I have 4 items tonight, Mayor. First of all, Resolution 1718-073, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois. The resolution number 1718-073 here to attach to resolution authorizing the appropriation of $245,000 of motor fuel tax funds for the purchase of road salt be approved. And this resolution number 1718-073 be accepted on its first reading, read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. I'll try to do my best at explaining a couple things here, a couple items that we're going to have, and I'll ask Dennis to fill in some gaps that I may have it. We sign a contract that allows us a certain amount of salt each year, and actually it allows us up to, is it 125% of that amount? Is that correct?
I think it guarantees 110 to be available.
110. And so that's, if we have a really terrible winter, and maybe a couple in a row, and we don't have the stockpile that we should, still guarantees us the salt. If you all remember, and actually Dennis and I were talking about it earlier, there were few years ago, where cities, businesses, municipalities were looking at or trying to find salt. Fortunately, we had some, and we didn't have to worry about that. That's the purpose of this. Having said that, which will lead into my next item, the last couple of years, when we signed this agreement, we agreed to take ownership of a certain amount of salt. Last couple of years have been very mild winters. Everything I've heard so far, it sounds like this year may not be such a mild winter, and we may be very happy that we have this. But since we have that excess amount, we are still obligated to take, delivery of a certain quantity of it. So the next item will lead to storage of that. And we will have 2 options. 1, we pay somebody to store it for us, or 2, build a facility. We are obligated to have a certain amount, and obviously paying somebody to store it is much cheaper than building a separate facility. We already have a facility now. We'd like to have a larger one, but we don't right now. Dennis, did I miss anything? Okay.
You got it.
Just a comment would be, if we saw this long-term, we may want to really increase our salt storing on-site capability. We had enlarged with the additional salt, I'll call it a salt dome, silo here several years ago, and it cost us, I'm thinking, under $75,000. We already had the foundation for it, and some other costs was already built into it. But to go from scratch, we're probably over $100,000 to build something big enough. I don't know, Jeff, you may.
Yeah, you're probably right. And also, in the last couple of years, there's been new EPA regulations on the storage of salt. A lot of your storage pads don't meet that requirement. You're allowed to store some salt outside and so forth, but large quantities, they're having
You know,
more, yeah,
even though you're
inspections.
talking about runoff of the salt pile, we're putting it on the streets where it's going to melt and run off into the streets, but I understand the EPA regulations.
And it has to
there.
do with the concentration in
Yes.
those individual areas and stuff, so.
I'm glad Jeff mentioned stored outside. Where can't we just find a place to store it outside? One big problem we had, which is why we got the dome, the cover that we have now, is because if you do store it outside, it becomes this massive hard shell on the outside. So then when you go to use it, a lot of your product has run off with the rain or light snow that may have come. Or the part that you have is this real thick coagulated stuff that you can't use. So it's much better to store it in a place that will make all of it usable. Sorry.
Just one more comment is the fact that buying the salt early, if you run out, we're paying $100 a ton for this salt. Now, I think if it goes to, like, in the middle of winter when everyone's out and you have to buy additional quantities, and the price could double. I just throw that out as that's not an exact amount, but the price goes up quite a bit. And so it pays us to do this kind of a pre-buy and to guarantee our cost. And the only way you cut back in your savings, that's one way to save money. Otherwise, you look at where you just mix sand or you just don't salt as much as maybe we have in the past to save money, but stay safe, but just not do as much. So that's a real call from Public Works to take care of, but this is a good solution to working ahead and being ready for something coming at a good, reasonable price to cover it.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
This is the second part of that, Mayor, Resolution Number 1718-074. Be it resolved by the Council, City of East Peoria, Illinois. The Resolution Number 1718-074 hereto attached. A resolution authorizing the payment for an invoice for Cargill Incorporated for the storage of salt in the amount of $16,864 to be paid from the city's 2017 allotment of motor fuel tax funds be approved. And that this resolution number 1718-074 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's all I have. I really have nothing else to say. This is just for the storage part of it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4360 hereto attached, an ordinance providing for the vacation of part of Cougar Lane adjacent to Outlot 3 in Phase 3 of High Oak Multifamily Subdivision and Outlot 4 in Phase 4 of High Oak Multifamily Subdivision located in the city of East Peoria, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. There is an area that's described here that we have the ability to build a road, and actually, it's kind of impractical to build a road on this spot, but we had that right a long time ago. This, for a short time, vacates that right, and it allows a developer to look at potential developments in that area. And that's, I guess, what obviously we really can't talk about the development that might come there, but it's certainly encouraging that something may come. And I don't know if Jeff or Ty, if either of you would like to say more.
Well, this takes just a very minor hurdle out of the way for development to move forward, and we're putting some conditions in here that we want to see some really substantial plans submitted before we're saying go ahead and do the vacation. But this gives the developers some level of comfort that when they're ready to proceed with this project, that this hurdle is out of the way.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And my last item, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4362 hereto attached, an ordinance changing the name of Silver Street to Columbia Street in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Columbia Street is the road that runs behind the shopping center that Aldi used to be at, or Goodwill, Advanced Auto, some of those places. It goes down, and then it turns, and it actually turns into what was Silver Street. We're changing that tonight. There are no addresses on Silver Street, so there should not be any confusion. But this was brought to us, I believe, by Morgan, something to do, and I was talking with Jeff a couple days ago. I completely agree with it.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I have right now, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Commissioner Jeffers. Thank you, Gary.
I have, the same as Commissioner Decker, I have 4 items tonight. First one, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1718-068, hereto attached a resolution approving an agreement between the City of East Peoria and the Policeman's Benevolent Labor Committee for a 3-year term commencing on May 1st, 2016, and terminating on April 30th, 2019, be hereby approved, and that this resolution number 1718-068, having been read once by its title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. We had the first reading 3 weeks ago. This is a culmination of negotiation. We've been without a contract for 17 months, and it's been reported. It's true, we went through arbitration, and the arbitrator made their ruling and allowed us then to come up to a final agreement, and this agreement is the result of that final ruling. So I'll just present it at that, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion, please.
Mayor, I spoke a little bit last time.
Thank you,
One
John.
thing, though, after the meeting last week, Commissioner Call spoke, and a friend of mine asked me something that Commissioner Call had said when he spoke about wanting to, I guess, challenge the ruling, asked me why I wasn't in favor of challenging the ruling. So I answered him, but I thought that it was probably the right thing to do to mention why I didn't. I had spoken with Dennis Triggs quite a bit before this and spoke about the, I guess, the chances of winning such a challenge. And I'll turn it over to Dennis here in a second, but in my conversation with him, for me, there are 2 steps to it. One, you take it back to that arbitrator, basically ask him, in this case, to reconsider his decision. The chances of that being very low. So obviously it costs money to go to that decision. And then if we were to lose, I believe we have to pay the other side's cost to that. Then we have a second challenge, which I believe takes it to court. And then the chances of winning that, I'll let Dennis talk about in a sec. But again, if we lose that, we would then have to pay the other side's costs. And I believe they would probably expend quite a bit of cost, knowing that the chances of them losing would be slim. So it was for that reason I didn't think it was financially the correct thing to do. Dennis, would you mind commenting on I guess what our chances of winning or prevailing?
The chances of having the arbitrator change his mind were negligible. It almost never happens. Same thing, not just with arbitrators, but with judges. People frequently in court of law will file a motion for reconsideration. It's basically asking the decision maker, whether it's a judge or an arbitrator, to say that they were wrong, and people are slow to do that. So the chances of the arbitrator changing his mind were almost nil. And if the city were to lose with that effort, then we would pay not only the city's attorney's fees, but also that of the other side. If after the arbitrator would refuse to change his mind and we went to court, that is a more expensive proposition. We would not be liable for their costs,
Okay.
but we'd have our own costs. And at that point in time, they become significant. The chances of a court overruling an arbitrator are better than the chances of an arbitrator overruling his own decision, but still they're very slim. That's based upon a long history and thousands of cases, if you will. Courts typically find it very difficult to second-guess a decision by an arbitrator who heard the evidence. One cannot say that there was no chance. We can only say that the chance would be very slim. That doesn't mean that we agree with the arbitrator's decision or we think that his logic was not flawed, but the chances of having it overruled in court likewise are slim, just a little better than the chances of having the arbitrator change his mind. That would not happen.
Okay.
I don't know if it's ever happened in this field.
That was just some of my thinking. It was a friend of mine that asked me that. He listened to Commissioner Call, and he said, well, why didn't you want to challenge it? So I just felt it was the right thing to do to mention it tonight. I am going to support this. Obviously, this is an arbitrator's ruling, and we put it in the arbitrator's hand. And I'll say this again. I think the most upsetting thing is that we aren't able to come to an agreement. I think everybody in the room would agree that it would have been much better if the two sides could have come to a decision that we could have all lived with, agreed with. It's a shame when you have to allow somebody else to make that decision for you. But for those reasons, I'll be voting yes tonight.
Commissioner Cole.
I largely agree with what Commissioner Decker has said in that I too considered supporting challenging the arbitrator's finding, although after, again, speaking with Mr. Triggs, I found that to be a poor gamble, and right now we don't have a whole lot of money to gamble with, so someone taught me one time you only gamble with money you can afford to lose, so I chose not to support that angle. I do find the arbitrator's finding to be somewhat incredible. I've reread it, and sorry, I still don't get his logic. I also find it extremely disappointing that this is a second consecutive contract with this union that we have had to go to arbitration. We prevailed the first time. I think the union displays a incredible lack of understanding of the city's financial position, finances, and seems to disregard the well-being of the city both as a whole and the other bargaining units that we deal with. So I find that regrettable. I hope that we find a way to improve that. Again, this contract, part of the reason why I find the arbitrator's finding so incredible is that if you look at the top earners in this contract, once they've been on the job for several years, have longevity bonuses and so forth, they will make over $80,000 a year. Total compensation will be in the neighborhood of $150,000. With this, all of this is without overtime. And those figures place them almost 22% above any of the 5 communities that were used as comparables in this arbitration hearing. I guess an arbitrator finds that it's okay to give a larger raise than any other bargaining unit in the city got when the city is in poor financial condition, and this group of people makes 22% more than any of the comparables that were used in the hearing. I just find that to be incredible. So, and with that, I'll shut up.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole, please.
Yeah, I'll keep my comments a lot shorter than I did 3 weeks ago. I did seek to appeal this determination, and simply, not personal, just based on state statute. So if you read the state statute as far as what the arbitrator uses for guidelines in making the determination, Commissioner Jeffers had mentioned it 3 weeks ago, it appears that he based his decision off of wage percentage increases versus comparable wages. Because clearly, as Commissioner Densberger stated, the numbers don't lie. They are what they are. It's in black and white for anybody that cares to see. the focus was on what these other departments gave out wage percentage increases versus dollars. I said 3 weeks ago, 2.25% of $100,000 is different than 2.25% of 50,000. It's just basic math. So the argument that, hey, they got 1.75, we want 1.75, it just doesn't hold water with me. I stated 3 weeks ago, I sat down with those guys, representatives from the union twice, face to face. So my comments 3 weeks ago, my comments tonight are nothing new to them. I looked them in the eyes and told them why I couldn't support giving them what they asked for. They wanted to use the argument that I negotiated the city's agreement with the local firefighter union and gave them 1.75%. They sat down and they looked at the entire financial situation of the city back then and had a willingness to work with the city and bargained in good faith. They moved their steps from a 3-year step to 4-year base to a 6-year step, 7-year base. Police department had no desire to have that conversation. So it's apples and oranges. It was then, it is today. I realize there's a risk to everything that you do. I respect my colleagues up here for their decision not to appeal it. I personally felt, and I still strongly feel, that the city would have prevailed had we. Because quite honestly, the state statute is what it is. So I feel that this particular individual that made the decision failed more than just the city. So
Thank you.
I will not be supporting it.
Commissioner Jeffers, do you have anything to say?
I don't really have anything else to say other than I did mention 3 weeks ago that the arbitration process is what it is as far as you try to get someone who theoretically is, down the middle, looks at both sides and makes a fair decision based on what evidence they have, since we had gone 17 months at an impasse on that final issue of wages. And I think Commissioner Densberger summed it up well as far as the actual pay package versus the increase and so forth. And, we'll be back in 2019 and go through this again. Anyway, I don't know what else we can do at this point. I feel like it's the system the way it is, and we negotiate, and this is what we came up with, and one side says yes, one side says no, and one wins in this case. We won 3 years ago. I guess we lost this time on this issue. So we still need to work together to control costs, and there's some things we can do to streamline some things within the police department. I think with Chief's been a great worker to come up with ideas to work with staff and et cetera, and I look forward to that. But from this issue here, I will support it, and in the vote, I'm disappointed in the ruling of the arbitrator, as we all are, but I will still vote to continue on, and we'll just move on from here.
Thank you. I think it's very important that even though we have a difference of opinion, that we recognize these officers for the jobs they do. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bath either, and because of arbitration, sometimes that connotation could be placed as far as the council. I think it's important that we not take them for granted, and I don't think we do. It's also important to realize that there thus far have been 113 officer fatalities in the United States so far, 3 since our last council meeting. And I think it's very important. There's a memorial app you can get, and it dings every time we lose an officer in the United States. I like that because it makes me thankful that men and women are out there doing the job every single day, willing to sacrifice their life. I think that's really important and something that we never forget. It is a dilemma. The city has limited funds, and we have to be fiscally responsible, and our law enforcement officers certainly make good money. On the other hand, how much is a well-trained professional who is willing to sacrifice their life worth? I think that's going to be determined in the future with future contracts. So with that, I'll call for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
No.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
No.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
3 ayes and 2 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Keep right on going, Commissioner.
Okay, I guess I continue here, I'm sorry. I'm used to, usually Commissioner Densberger reads these type of motions, with contracts and such, and this threw me a curve. Not that I've done it before, but that's fine. Next issue, resolution number 1718-076, be it resolved by the council of the city of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1718-076, hereto attached, a resolution approving agreement with the city of Washington regarding sanitary sewer system for development site at 2274 and 2278 Washington Road, Washington, Illinois, be approved, and that this resolution number 1718-076 be accepted on its first reading, is read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. This is one of those unique situations that arises once every, this is the first time I've had it in my almost, it's over 10 years, where we have someone wanting to upgrade their system. Is that it, Dennis? I'll pass it to you in a moment. But basically, they're in the, I'm going to pass it to you. They need, the sewer system is, they are actually not in East Peoria,
Correct.
but they have East Peoria sewer.
Correct.
Which goes against our typical way of doing business. And so for us to go and make everything, hook them into, go to Washington and stay out of the city and so forth and so on, the cost there is much more expensive than just trying to accommodate what we've been doing under the radar for several years. So Dennis, I'll let you take it from there after I stumbled on it.
Yeah, this is basically a development that's going in just east of Summit. There's an existing business address there that is currently connected into the city of East Peoria, has been forever. This developer has purchased that property and want to utilize their service to continue feeding into the East Peoria sewer. City of Washington's not interested in unannexing them from the city to allow us to annex them in. The cost of the developer would be quite significant to run the sewer all the way over to the Rolling Meadows North subdivision to be able to tie into the city of Washington. So with them purchasing the existing building that was already connected, we've just kind of got the agreement that we're going to allow them to utilize that service. That way they can continue to do business.
It seems like a win-win situation is to work it out between us and make it happen, and we still have our current items on the books, how we do business with neighborhoods, businesses, but in this case, the exception's there, which makes sense for both parties, and it's best for everybody.
This is a good deal because two communities got together and made it work, and talked to Mayor Manere last, 2 weeks ago, and good job on all your parts. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved by the council of the city of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1718-075, hereto attached, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a new Caterpillar 430F IT backhoe and buckets for the water department, and authorizing the trade-in of a 1997 Caterpillar 416C backhoe and CVP 40 compactor from Altorfer Cat at a net total cost of $132,302 be approved, and that this resolution number 1718-075 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. As I read, the proposed purchase of this new backhoe, we're trading in a 20-year-old backhoe that we've had since it was new. And hence, that's the weak link of, I guess, of our fleet that we are attempting to keep current. In our material, what we'll do is we have a current, the water department currently has a 2013 model. We'll cascade that down over to the road side of the house, and then the street department will take ownership of this new, same model, same configuration as what we currently have. So we'll have two identical backhoes, and this really continues a pattern we've had over several years, and we're getting some other additional attachments as well to make us more, because these are, when a tractor is described as IT, it's integrated tool carrier where it can take different tools for the front end, different buckets, different items in the front, which gives you more versatility. And with all the road, for the water department, think of all the water breaks we were called out to fix, et cetera, et cetera. This is a high demand machine, actually more in the winter than it is in the summer. time, or it can be because of the potential freezing and thawing and so forth. But this is, through government pricing, is 27% discount. The list price of the backhoe is over $160,000. There's a $46,000 discount. And so that is, will be paid for out of the water sewer fund.
Other discussion, please? Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's see here, get this. Make sure I get this read right. Resolution number 1718-078. I'll just read this entire thing, I guess. Whereas pursuant to Resolution Number 1718-039, the City Council appointed Dennis W. Barron, Jr. as the city's new Public Works Director, effective at the end of the day on September 1st, 2017, after the retirement of Steve Ferguson, the prior Public Works Director for the city. And whereas the City Council now seeks to establish the appropriate level of salary for Dennis W. Barron, Jr. as the city's Public Works Director, as his salary remained at the level for the Water and Wastewater Supervisor in the Public Works Department upon his promotion to the city's Public Works Director position. And whereas this salary adjustment for Dennis W. Barron, Jr. is to be retroactive to the date of his appointment to the city's Public Works Director position, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that the annual salary for Dennis W. Barron, Jr. is hereby set at $110,000, which shall be retroactively effective as of September 2nd, 2017, when his promotion to Public Works Director became effective. Mr. Mayor, I move you that Resolution Number 1718-078 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
This was a little housekeeping here. We had brought Dennis in back several months before as over the Water Wastewater Department. We had combined two positions together in some of our restructuring. And we knew that Steve was to be retiring. We went out for resumes, et cetera. And so as it worked out, Dennis was our selection. We swore him into that position several weeks ago. And so this is really just to verify and actually put in writing the official salary at $110,000. So this is to make it complete, proper, and we have come to agreement with Mr. Barron, with Dennis on that. So that's my...
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Call.
I have one item this evening, Mayor. Resolution number 1718-077, resolution approving salary for Deputy Fire Chief. Whereas pursuant to Resolution number 1617-072, the City Council created the new command position of Deputy Fire Chief for the Fire Department and appointed John F. Knapp to this position effective November 1st, 2016. And whereas the City Council has now determined that the salary level for the Deputy Fire Chief position needs to be adjusted to more fairly and equitably reflect his new command position in relation to the salary levels for the other Fire Department command staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that the annual salary John F. Knapp as the Deputy Fire Chief for the Fire Department is hereby set at $109,870, and this salary shall be effective upon passage of this resolution. Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number 1718-077 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger.
Thank you, Commissioner Densberger. I alluded to this a few weeks ago. We created this position last November. And a couple things that were thrown out there, I just want to clarify. We did not add manpower when we created this position. We absorbed what was called the super floater position, and created this new position, and chief appointed, we appointed John Knapp as deputy chief of fire. In doing so, at that particular time, the actual cost for doing so was about a net cost of $18,000. At that particular time, it became, how you want to say, aware of a fact that there was a discrepancy between the assistant chief's pay, and now you have this position in between the assistant chiefs and deputy chief. I had called 3 weeks ago for this to be corrected. It's been a long year, and that's what we're doing tonight. So this literally doesn't address the compaction, but it places the deputy chief squarely between the assistant chief and chief, so,
There's more to come in the future.
yeah.
Very good. We ready to second? I guess roll call, please.
Mayor, hold on a second.
You're gonna abstain.
Yeah,
You're
since
gonna abstain.
Deputy Chief Knapp is a superior of mine, I'm going to abstain.
Very good. So noted. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Abstain.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
I have 4 ayes and 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you,
That's all I
Commissioner
have,
Cole.
sir.
Anybody in the audience want to speak to the council on a non-agenda item, come forward. Come forward, sir, please.
Hi, Neil and Aurelia up here. We live up on East Side Hill. Right here, we have a petition for changing the ordinance 10-2-3.23 to allow for backyard chickens. I know this has come up several times before. Let's see, what do I want to say about it? City like West Peoria has twice the population density that as East Peoria does. They allow for chickens. I know this come up in news articles before. I just wondering if the council's doing anything about or thinking about it. I know Ty's worked on some zoning stuff.
Mr. Densberger.
Your Honor, I have been contacted by enough citizens that do not wish for there to be chickens allowed within the city. I personally don't feel that it's appropriate, and I won't support such a measure. But as I've told each of you gentlemen in the past, if there are 3 votes for it, let's do it.
And thus far, there haven't been, so.
Okay.
You mentioned you had a petition?
Yes.
You had a petition?
Yeah, we'd like to have that, though, if we may, or a copy.
I mean, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's mainly just our street,
yeah, I
That's okay.
went to all the houses in our street.
What street do you live on, folks?
Canterbury Court.
Canterbury.
Canterbury? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, here's a case where I know, Commissioner Densberger, you've had people contact you. No, I've had people contact me, yes. So you get kind of a no, yes in this kind of situation. And people sometimes say no because they really don't know what it is, or they think they know what it is. It's different than what they may think it is. And I think it's for us to do due diligence to see what it is and what it isn't.
It doesn't mean it's the final answer.
No,
By any
and
means.
again, and here's a
Correct.
case where their whole neighborhood may say they don't care if their understanding is that they're okay with it. Now, maybe there's a case we could do something to do it, to allow, or you've got agreement in the community, the street to do it. I mean, probably 95% of the people in town would not want to mess and do the work, take care of them. But some would. And there's towns Joliet, I believe, has chickens in Chicago and Delavan. So it isn't like it's not unknown. Others have done it. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it and just out and out being opposed to it. I'm for really seeing if it could work. I'm aware of the objections that some have raised. I know people that have raised chickens, and I've been around them myself, and it can be done and done in a quiet, clean way if done properly. And it's just like the burning issue, the rabbit trail. People can do that correctly and not bother their neighbor, and it's okay. Others who abuse it, do it wrongfully, causes grief. And so there's good things that people can abuse. This is an area where we've not been there before, but I'm willing to look at it, and if there's a way we could do it by permit or something rather than citywide, case by case. I don't want to drive the cost of it where it's unaffordable, but at the same time, maybe that's a way to get into it, prove it out, and then if there's enough support, we could go even bigger. But a permit-type system might work best and get us in, because it can be a good cost savings for a family. These aren't just pets. This is for actual egg production. It's not for meat production, it's for egg production,
Right.
essentially. And so I get that, and it's a good thing, so.
Thank you very much for coming to us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah. First of all, I walked this new trail over here. Pretty nice. Of course, the geese got a little aggravated at me, and they weren't too happy with you guys for putting that in because you messed up their grazing territory, so probably ought to try to get the grass back in to pacify them, you know what I mean? And at the light that's there where you can turn to come down to Costco off of Camp Street, I waited 4 lights, I never did get a walk. So I said, oh, what the heck. So I just run out in the middle, and by God, everybody missed me. So I get to the next one down here, it comes by Aldi's, and I got a repeat. So I get down here about Target store, and this guy had been coming from Consolidate or whatever that sandblast joint is over in Painting Place. And he says, how you like taking your life in your hands? I said, well, he says, it comes and goes. And he says, yeah, he says, I ride my bicycle by here every day going to work. I said, well, I hope you don't get hit. He says, I ride with the traffic like I'm supposed to. And he says, they throw soda bottles at me. They throw water bottles at me. They roll down the windows and cuss at me. He said, did you get any of that? I said, no, I missed that. He said, well, if you're going to walk it very much, he said, get used to it. So you might
Thanks for the
keep that in
information,
mind.
Bob.
And on this chicken thing, of course, I've been here before on this. Little Rock allows them. There's all kinds of big cities that allow them. And I cannot, but I appreciate your stance, okay? I can't see where the big holdup is here. Major cities all over the country, and here's a little town with less than 23,000 people. Where do we come off on being so snooty, shall we say? I mean, let's come down to earth, folks. And as far as your statement, sir, yeah, they are for eggs. But at the price of eggs today, they're not economical. You can't raise them as cheap as you can buy them from Aldi's or Kroger's, okay? As far as that goes. And so that's about all I got to say on that. And we've been there, done that, had this discussion before. But now, you know, on a lot of this, just like with the union thing, union money raised me. It raised my kids, still taking care of me in the way of a pension. And I don't have a problem with anybody trying to get all they can get, okay? But, and I'm going to say that to the police department, the fire department, and everybody that works in here, including me, as I go around the city, and maybe you guys ought to all take a trip around the city, you know, I haven't found one lot or house or anything in this town that has a money tree in their yard. And obviously, everybody, all of us, think we all have money trees because you just spent $175,000 on a new backhoe. And I'm not saying the old one didn't need replaced, but we don't have the money, okay? Enough said on that. If NPR is right, the state of Illinois lost 10,000 jobs in September. Every 4.3 minutes, if they know what they're talking about, one person leaves the state of Illinois. So, will there be some people come to this marvelous little city? Yeah, there'll be some. But if you're counting on big numbers, guys, if what they say is true, they ain't coming in the flocks and groves like you think they're going to, so we can pick them clean, because it ain't going to happen. Thanks for your time. I've been real good the last three or four meetings, trying not to say anything, but
You've done well tonight.
enough said.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Mike, the commercial, I guess.
Mr. Mayor, to Bob's initial point about the crosswalks at Camp and Spender, we are aware that issue was submitted to Rick Szymanski to have Laser Electric take a look at that. The signals are not
Absolutely.
working.
It's not working at all?
Oh, and I got a
Okay.
complaint
They don't
of one
respond.
going on to over to Kroger's, too.
Yeah, even the left turn signal, if you go coming south on Camp Street or going north on Camp Street, it's not working.
There's some handicapped people that really need that. Okay, anybody else?
Accidents happen, Bob.
Good evening. On a more positive note, I wanted to make council and everybody that's watching aware of a potentially exciting opportunity. The Fond du Lac Township Board is having a meeting on Thursday. They're considering a solar farm out in the Sunnyland area. And it has a lot of potential to be a fantastic project. A company is going to set the whole thing up, and the way I understand it, I shouldn't speak as an expert. I should probably ask Mr. Hilliard to come up
Wrote a nice article about it.
and say what he had. But the meeting is going to be Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Filippi Building. And the company and the board will be there. I would encourage anybody else to come out and hear what they have to say, see what the plan is, what in my mind, a great potential is for this project. So I hope to see you all there this coming Thursday. And then I'll go into my usual, we have our glass recycling event on Saturday, 8:30 to 11:30. As usual, I know I'll see Commissioner Densberger and Commissioner Call there. So thank you very much, and we need to get everybody else involved. We'll take, we do ask that you rinse out the bottle or the jar, take the lid off of it, and no window glass, no mirror glass, and nothing from construction. And hopefully we'll see you this Saturday with whatever you've been saving up for the last 9 months.
Your truck loaded, Commissioner?
How big's your dumpster, Bob?
Anybody else? All right. Comments from the council, Commissioner Decker.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to mention the glass recycling event as well. But then talking with Bob prior to the meeting, and I've gone back and forth with some emails today. This solar farm does sound very, I guess, exciting. I think the potential there is maybe some lower energy costs, but some cleaner energy costs, or cleaner energy. So, as Bob said, 6 p.m. Thursday night, have all your questions answered, hopefully. It'll be held at the Filippi Building, and I'm going to try to be there as well. I know where it is. I don't know if the site is public to talk about, but it's across from the old convention center, just past the entrance to Robine School on your left. So is that correct? Left side?
Right.
Oh, it's on the right side, right next to it. Okay.
Just behind the Jehovah's Witness, on the opposite side of Sunrise.
Yes, left side of
Yeah,
24,
sorry.
or Route 8, whatever it is. Yes, thank you. It does sound exciting. Hopefully, a lot of people will attend. Obviously, these things have been placed in other communities and been very successful, so hopefully it'll be something good for our area as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Densberger.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Commissioner Jeffers.
A couple of things, I think. This is the birthday of a very prominent person in our country, been around for generations. The Reverend Dr. Billy Graham is 99 years old today. That's just, I follow him, have for my life, and that's just a cool thing, 99 and still
he's not out, but he still has some good things to say. But I had a question that just came to me as I'm sitting here. Of course, we're aware of the shooting at the church in Texas, and there's been articles in the paper about church security and nonprofits, groups that normally you'd think you'd never have a problem like that, but we do. And I know the church I attend, we've had people come in that are familiar with law enforcement, have come in with and done a walk around our facility and say, hey, this is one thing to consider, this or that or the other. Is this something that, I don't want to lay a burden on our police department, but is there any way we could perhaps, I'm just thinking out loud here, of I know a lot of these groups maybe don't pay taxes, but the people that attend do, where the police could have someone available for a walkthrough just to give us some quick pointers as to things we could do or not do in terms of safety or prevention or crime or this type of attack, or, I mean, it's such a, it's a big subject, and I don't want to just lay a burden on our police, but just a question I have, I guess, as a citizen, but I'm behind this bench here and I'm asking it, I guess. And so I guess I'll direct it to Chief Ganchow.
Well, we're certainly open to doing that. Obviously, so much of it is obviously common sense in terms of being vigilant, of being observant. There is only so much you can do unless you're going to lock your facility down.
Yeah.
At some certain point, there is only a certain amount you can do. I think the bigger message is that we as a community and as family members need to be more vigilant in identifying those people who may be a danger, and maybe not to a church, but to a school, maybe to where they work. But no, we're certainly willing to assist anybody that in any way we can. But so certainly all they'd have to do is contact us, and we'll do whatever we can to try to maybe take a look at a facility and see what may improve the internal and external security. But it's a very vexing problem.
And you said some good things here that have been said and are actually out there now being said that are really good for people to consider, that people that wouldn't have thought of this 5 years ago or recent history, but here it is before us. And here's a town in southern, in Texas, Sutherland Springs, and a town of 400 people, and here this happens. So we're East Peoria, and you think it wouldn't happen here, but why not? It could. I hope not. And if it does, hopefully we're prepared and we can stop it before it starts. But I do appreciate the fire department. They come around to businesses, and they've come around to our church and checked fire extinguishers, lighting, and that's part of an annual thing that they do usually, or thereabouts, and that's the kind of thing that I appreciate that service as well. So with that, I'll just say thank you, and we'll just continue to keep looking out for each other as a community and make things work and be safe.
There are some excellent videos online, too, that may be helpful. Commissioner Call.
Yeah, just a few community events worth noting. Bob mentioned one, which is Thursday night. That's actually a public meeting Fond du Lac Township is putting on in regards to the solar farm proposed out there in the Robine area. That will be held at the Festival Building, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And the company will be on hand to provide a bunch of information. So any interest there for those living in Fond du Lac Township? And then also on Thursday, November 9th, the Richland Community Center is having an open house, and that's located at 446 Cass Street. And a lot of volunteer work went into it, but they fixed that place up, and it looks really, really nice. Did a great job. They're so proud of it. They want to have an open house. That's at 5:30 p.m. This coming Thursday. Bob mentioned the glass recycling on Saturday, November 11th, which is also Veterans Day. So thank all the veterans out there. We had a parade last Saturday, and I've got to tell you, I'm not trying to shame anybody. It's embarrassing. We couldn't have had
You're right.
30 people show up for our Veterans Day parade. Just a shame, just my humble opinion. Of course, I'm partial as a veteran. I took kind of great offense to it, quite honestly, and I hope we do things differently going into next year. I appreciate the mayor's been a part of it for 20 years, and it just seems like the numbers keep dwindling. So hopefully we can do something different next year. They changed the route. The route was actually
It was a good route. It was really cool.
So hopefully we can convince more people to come out and show their support next year. Sunday, November 12th, Festival of Lights Queen Pageant kicks off at 1:30 at the Paradise. Usually this sells out, there's a few tickets left, and I tell you what, they have 11 contestants this year, so going to be a tough one. Yeah, and the mayor convinced me to be a judge, so makes it even tougher.
You're going to make somebody mad.
Yeah, Festival of Lights Parade coming up November 18th, 5:45 PM. And that route's changed. We have that posted on just about every site imaginable. So we'll see how that goes. Winter Wonderland kicks off on November 23rd. And we also have the lighting of the wreath. Is that the Monday directly, next Monday? The 13th. Okay, so the newly crowned queen will be live on week 25, live at 5, I believe. I don't know if it's still called that, but she will do a live lighting of the wreath, and that's always exciting. So, lastly, Teresa Tracy Strive to Survive held their trot last Saturday. Although the weather was absolutely crummy, it was a good turnout for crummy weather. There were 455 participants. And so, soon to announce how much money was raised this year. The funds will be split between University of Illinois Foundation for Dr. Christopher Gandhi at the College of Medicine, Peoria, and Illinois Cancer Care going to pancreatic cancer clinical research and treatments. And I personally want to thank Ray LaHood. Ray went out of his way, former congressman and transportation secretary. He joined us there Saturday morning, had a good hour with them. And I greatly appreciate his efforts in helping kick it off this year.
He had a late night before, too.
Yes, he did. So, that's all I have, sir.
I think you got every point as far as the festival. Anything you need to add, Doug? Good job. All right. Motion to adjourn, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, November 21st, 2017 at 6 p.m.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting, aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. We are adjourned.